You want to learn and speak the language, and you know that you need to learn more words so you can speak more, but memorizing words is boring and painful work. But what if you could skip that hard work and quickly review words in minutes a day, and actually remember them in the long run? Keep watching. In this guide, you'll discover all about spaced repetition learning and how it makes remembering easy, how to use the spaced repetition flashcards inside our system, and how to customize your learning with the flashcards. But first, if you don't yet have access to our language learning system, sign up for a free lifetime account right now. Just click the link in the description to get your free lifetime account. So let's jump in. I'll guide you through our learning system, so you get to see exactly what's inside and our members-only study tools. But first, what are spaced repetition learning and spaced repetition flashcards? First, we need to define spaced repetition learning. Spaced repetition is where your learning gets spaced out over time, where if you learn a new phrase today, you take a break and come back on another day to review it, then again in a few days, and so on. Why? First, you need repetition to learn anything. And second, your brain remembers better if you come back after periods of time, because if you tried to cram all at once, you'd never remember anything in the long run. Spaced repetition helps you remember in the long run, and it's backed by science. And spaced repetition flashcards apply that spaced repetition method to help you learn the language and remember it for good. Okay, so let's take a look at how to use the spaced repetition flashcards inside our system. First, where do you find them? So to find these spaced repetition flashcards, you can go to the vocabulary drop-down menu from any page on the website and click on flashcards right here. So when you click on this, you'll find a menu appear. And inside the menu, you'll find all of your flashcard decks available. So in this case, we have a few on this page, but you'll see basically any deck that you've already created. So that could be like a core word list. So you might have access to like the 2000 core word list, and you might have a flashcard deck made for that. Great. You might have some specific flashcard decks that you yourself have created. That's also great. But for today, I want to take a look at this one, this core 100 word deck. Everybody has access to this one. So if you are a free member, if you're a paid member, doesn't matter. You'll be able to access these 100 core words for the language you're studying. So you'll see a little bit of information on the first part of this deck right here on this kind of cover page here. And then to begin your study session, you can click on the study button. So when you do this, you'll get a little bit more information about what you're about to study so that you know that you're not going to study forever. And you're going to see in this example I'm about to show you that depending on the settings that you have, which we'll talk about a little bit later, you'll get some different information to help you remember the vocabulary that you're working on. So for now, let's just click Start Session and we can take a look at what is in front of us. So first we have 9, the word 9. So this is obviously the definition of something. So 9 is as in the number 9, the number that comes after 8 and before 10. So when you think you have it correct inside your mind, or maybe you say it out loud, you can click on Show Answer. Once you do this, it will give you the answer. It will give you some information. It will give you like an example sentence, and you have the option, depending on your settings again, to click Incorrect or Correct. This part is really, really important. If you got it incorrect, make sure that you click the Incorrect button. If you got it correct, great, you can click that. So for this, we'll click Correct. Let's take a look at this next one. So lamb is the next one here. A lamb is a baby sheep. That's one way to understand this. So I'll click on Show Answer. But in this case, let's say I got it incorrect, right? Let's say I didn't recognize the vocabulary word lamb. That's okay. So I would click on Incorrect here, and we just go on to the next word. So it's not like there's a penalty when you mark something as correct or incorrect. Rather, when you mark something as correct or incorrect, you are telling the spaced repetition flashcard system, this word is okay for me, or this word is not okay for me. So when you're marking something as incorrect, it's telling the system, I need to study that more. So that's a way for the system to know, okay, I should show you this vocabulary word some more. Okay, so let's take a look at one more, and then I'll talk a little bit more about the different settings and other features that you can use to make sure that you get the most out of these flashcards. So this is the second month of the year, another definition that we have. We show the answer. I think it's probably February here. So we show the answer, February, second month of the year. Great, I'm correct, so I'll mark it as correct. Okay, so let's take a look now. I'll end this session here, but ideally you'll finish all of the vocabulary words in each session when you begin. dig in. But for now, I want to talk a little bit about the different settings that you can use to make sure that you get the most out of these flashcards. So as I said before, these flashcard decks that are on the screen right now are unique to this account that we are using to create this video. But you can create your own flashcard decks, of course, and they will all appear here. Let's take a look, though, up here at the Settings button. You'll notice that there are a lot of different things that we can change here. First, I want to talk a bit about this card types section up here on the right. So we just practiced using like a definition for something and then saying the word that is associated with that definition, right? So this is one way that you can use the flashcards for your studies. But by toggling these, you can enable other types of study. So listening comprehension means you will hear the word and then you have to give the definition, or maybe the other side, like we just practiced with the actual definition. You might hear the definition and then have to give the word, and so on. So by toggling these different features, you can get different types of study for your vocabulary studies. So this is one part of kind of like the way that you can customize your studies. On the other side, however, we have these more general settings. So that means that if you want to like have an image show along with your flashcard, if you want to have the part of speech show or not show, that means if you want it to be clearly labeled as like a noun or a verb or whatever, you can enable or disable that here. Another really interesting feature that I want to talk about, though, is this answer interface section right here. So it says auto, scale, and buttons. So the feature that I just showed you, or rather the study method I just showed you, had an incorrect and a correct option, right? After you do your study session or after you study that one vocabulary word. But if you click on the scale option and save that, I'll also turn off listening comprehension just to go back to the original settings we had. This will enable a kind of spectrum for your answer. So if you feel like it was really, really hard, you can kind of mark that on the spectrum. So I want to show you what this looks like. So we'll go back to the same deck to study and take a look at that. So I'll start the session. And we'll do the same thing here. So here we have programmer, a noun, okay? So I can guess that I need to provide the definition in this case. So somebody who writes code for software and other computer applications. Okay, so I'll show the answer. So in this case, I got it correct. That's great. So, but you'll notice here down at the bottom, there's a scale now. Instead of just buttons, you can kind of mark how confident you were in your answer. So in this case, I feel very, very confident that my answer was correct. But in situations where you don't feel so confident, you can also do that. So I'll click up here at the top of correct for this one. I feel very confident about that. And go on to the next one, hand in this case. So hand, I'm guessing that probably means the part of the body. I'm guessing that this is probably not the verb to hand something because this is the core 100 word deck. And I'm guessing this is probably the body part. So we'll go to show answer. And again, it is the portion of the body starting from the wrists. Okay, great. But let's say that I made a mistake with this one, or let's say that I wasn't really so sure. I could mark that. I could click here anywhere on this spectrum to help the system understand my level of confidence about that vocabulary word. And by doing so, that tells the system how much I need to see that word or how little I need to see that word in the future. So this is how the system remembers your specific answers and thus knows which word to show you next and which words maybe you don't need to see so much coming up in the future. So this is a really, really good way to make sure that you're studying really efficiently. And then, when you need to study again in 5 days or in a week, in a month or whatever, that you're studying the things that are actually still challenging to you and you're not just reviewing things that you're already really, really familiar with and really comfortable with, but you're always making progress. So the spaced repetition flashcards are a really good way to do this. And if you combine this, say with, for example, like the 2000 core word list or a specific word list that you find on the website that you really want to practice, this can be a really great way to make sure that your study sessions are super efficient and that you get the most out of all of the tools that we have available for you. So if you want to speak more of your target language, you'll need to know more words and phrases. And the best way to learn and actually remember all the words is through spaced repetition flashcards. So if you want to learn the language and get access to these learning tools and our learning system, sign up for a free lifetime account right now. Just click the link in the description to get your free lifetime account.